Hey guys, it's Tiffany, and you found me on the Wise Guys podcast, and I'm here to level with you about the astrology for May of 2022. So, we're going to go over the numerology, we're going to go over the astrology forecast, and then at the end, if I remember, I'm going to pull a card for you. So, stick around because the cards can change things. They can add an extra layer to what's going on in the forecast. Okay, so starting out, at the end of April, we had a full moon in Libra, and or we will have, depending on when you're watching this, an eclipse, right, at the end of April. And that particular eclipse is in 10 degrees of Taurus, it's conjunct Uranus, and it's smack on top of Eros. And so I feel like a lot of people at the end of April, at the beginning of May, are being hit by Cupid's arrow. And so, if you've got like long-term love affairs, people deciding to commit, go all in, we're going to see sparks fly. We're going to see breakups. We're going to see all of it, right? But the idea is that there's this huge emphasis on that Libra full moon, things coming full circle in relationship, and then the eclipse falling on Cupid's arrow. So that leads us into the numerology of May, which is a 2. We're in a 2 universal month in a 6 universal year. This can be a beautiful homecoming when couples buy their first home together or move in together, or they start to nest, or they start to design life on their own terms, right? The 2s are about relationships. And so it's not only the relationships that you have with other people, but the relationship that you have with your creator, the relationship between the seen and the unseen, right? It's that there's an inner relationship going on too between the head and the heart. So this interconnectedness, how we are in relationship with each other, how we are in relationship with anything, is how we're in relationship with everything. And so you guys know, if you've worked with me, that there's a correlation between how we treat our finances and how we are in relationship. And so that is a really interesting topic that might benefit you to look at right on the 1st of May. So Beltane energy, that fresh Celtic green spring energy coming in with a witch's calendar with May 1st, right? We've got this Venus sextile Pluto. There's a money makeover opportunity for you that lends itself, if you will take care of your finances, it will clean up your relationships too. It's this really cool thing that happens, and I'd be happy to talk about that more, maybe in another video, or if that speaks to you, to do a one-on-one with. But the idea here is that the 2s in relationship, think about the Judgment card, the card that helps you have that personal reckoning, that card that helps you make amends where needed so that things can be clean and clear. Doesn't mean that it's always going to be comfortable and perfect in relationship, especially if you've got some ironing out to do, right? But where can you reconnect with your own love light, right? That first relationship is always going to be primary, that relationship you have with yourself, reparenting yourself through things, through difficult circumstances, big moves, big decisions, stuff like this. So relationship is a major lens of how we're going to experience May. But I also know that there's a lot of darker skies towards the end of the month. So let me take you through the astrology forecast here a little bit. Oh, before we get off of relationships, I wanted to say that the downside is that we can get into people-pleasing behaviors when we're overgiving, or just kind of being run over in our relationships and not having that fairness, that reciprocity. So if that's where it's showing up for you, if that's where it's starting to feel unbalanced, and you don't know how to have the confidence to rebalance it, Al-Anon is a great resource. Just want to put that out there for anybody. Okay, so as we get into the astrology forecast, if you guys have been watching my newsletters, you'll have seen that I've been saying Mayday, Mayday. There's a lot of fire in the skies, potential for burnout in May. But if we approach it with awareness, I feel like I actually feel more hopeful about May. The longer I studied it, the better I felt about it, right? So May does have a smoother start and a rockier finish. So if you're like, oh, I got May's fine, Tiffany, what are you talking about? That first week does feel pretty good. It looks a lot more glittery. The burnout happens later. So can we pace ourselves in May? Can you practice knowing when enough is enough. This is not a month where ultimatums are going to work. This is not a month where if you force the issue, things are just going to break. This is a month in astrology where there is a lot of back and forth. And so giving yourself room for that and other people room for that too. Saturn's going to semi-sextile Neptune this month. And so it's really easy for us to lose focus on what's most important. I want to say that again because I didn't highlight it in my bullet points, and I think it's an important overview that the Saturn next semi-sextile Neptune, it's easy for us to lose focus on what's really important, right? What's most important? Is it those relationships that we have, right? Is it food storage? Is it gardening? Is it the things that the spring brings, this new life, this feeling of connection, right? To self, to spirit, to others. Connection being the opposite of disease and addiction, right? All right, so May Day, May Day. Okay, not a month to force things, not a month to overdo it. What's the right amount of busy? How can you pace yourself? If you want a quick hit on a best day, circle May 6th. Mercury is going to sextile Venus, and it's just a good day for a good day. It's when communications are easier. It's when things tend to be in flow. It's when we can find similarities. It's when we can agree on stuff. It's when the Venn diagram matches up. So May 6th has a lot of potential for being a really good day. One of the more challenging days is going to be May 15th. It's the falls around the Scorpio eclipse. And these challenges around eclipses are easier to see in hindsight. So difficult to predict how it's going to play out for you. But in retrospect, it looks like a major turning point in our lives. So noticing where 25 degrees of Scorpio is in your chart can help you navigate the seas of May. If we want to go through it a little bit like more daily here, I mentioned May 1st, Beltane, this great opportunity for a money makeover will help your relationships too. Venus will sextile Pluto. What's changed over time with your love and money? What stayed the same? This is a window really to take action regarding investments, banking, resources, moving, shaking things up at home, redesigning some stuff, estate planning. What needs to be evolved? What needs to evolve? What needs to change? Pluto doesn't want anything to stay the same. Venus wants to make things pretty and better and feel good, right? On the second, Venus is then going to enter Aries, right? So Venus and Aries, there's a yin and a yang, but we're saying like let's go with more yang because of Aries. So where do you want to initiate? Where do you want to start something new? Where do you want to find some inspiration? What piques your interest? This is a time when you're like needing to get off the couch and into action. Less yin, more yang. Get clear and direct when it comes to Venus stuff, love and money, through May 28th. So all month long, Venus is going to be in Aries. So that feels very fiery, spicy, sexy, intimate, interesting. How's it going to happen for you? Who's the initiator? So, like, check out your human design. Are you supposed to wait to respond? You're going to know when that thing comes that you want to respond to. Are you supposed to wait for an invitation? That can be very frustrating if your astrologer is like, this is a great time to kick things off. Just be aware of what you want to say yes to, right? So that's actually really helpful to know because Venus and Aries, I feel like for sure there's going to be some good positive combustion energy going in a loving direction, remembering what do we want to stay focused on, what do we not want to lose sight of. Venus and Aries can help guide our ship here. Now, May 4th through 7th looks really positive. So this is like that really good week where we have an energy boost. It's a really optimal window to find forward momentum this first week of May. You just want to stay hydrated. Don't overdo it. Make sure that you're pacing yourself. Mars is going to sextile Uranus. Sun's going to conjunct Uranus. Surprises, right? Plot twists, things change, but a lot of energy, a lot of energy. Mercury's going to sextile Venus. The sun's going to sextile Mars. All of the positive, interesting planets are working together. It feels very Six of Wands, victory, forward momentum, things changing for the better is what it feels like, right? To me. On May 10th, we're going to have Mercury retrograde. So that means Mercury will have been in shadow up until now. And that's why I'm like, yeah, it's a good week. Just go slow. Just pace yourself, right? Mercury will retrograde first in Gemini here on the 10th, and we'll slide into Taurus later in the month. We'll talk about Mercury will be retrograde May 10th through June 2nd, so all month long. We're going to have that ability to change our mind, that ability to go back and forth to see things from different angles. In forensic mediumship, in psychic development, if you guys are in our psychic development classes, we teach to dip in and out, to drop things, to not stay focused and hammered on stuff. It's like just take a little dip in and dip out, go do something else. And that's kind of how I feel like you could work with this Mercury retrograde the best. It's like just dip into a subject, dip out, come back, look at it at a different angle. All right. So this is a very is prismatic a word? Like it's like we're looking at it from a whole lot. Like, look, it's like this. If you describe this by looking at this beautiful crystal on one side versus the other side, right? One side looks very dull, like a plain rock. It's just a gray, roundy shape. And then on the other side, it's like this beautiful um, spires and crystal elements and different ways to see this incredible, crystal friend, right? So the idea here is put things down and come back to it. Don't hammer into things. As you guys know, communication, travel, electronics all have a way of going haywire. This includes cars, so making sure that your car maintenance, computer maintenance, phone maintenance, um, reviewing old notes. So if you want to look at other ways to optimize the Mercury retrograde, that's most of the month, looking back over old notebooks, right? Like I have all of my B notebooks from the last year. I can't show you because they're under the computer, but I have like color coordinated different tabs for all of the things that I want to study to go through the book again. I want to go through my notebook of all of the conferences I went to and consolidate and put things kind of in categories. Same thing with my forensic mediumship. I want to go through all of my notes and recategorize it. Mercury retrograde is a great time to do that. Edit old notes, go through old journals, learn something that you've always wanted to learn. Gemini rules our childhood friends, our brothers and sisters, our communities. We can work with the themes of Gemini. There's a lot to think about when Mercury is in retrograde in Gemini, a lot to think about. So the best thing to do is to stay curious, stay open-minded, look for the best possible solution. Don't commit too early. Just keep dipping in and out. Keep looking at things from different angles. Don't make people commit. Don't force people into a corner this month. It's not going to work in anyone's favor, really. No ultimatums right now. There's a time for that. May 10th, Jupiter is going to move into Aries through October 28th, right? We were so excited about Jupiter being in Pisces. Jupiter's in Aries now, and it feels a lot more fireball energy. It feels kind of selfish in some ways. So inspiration from my yoga teacher, the life you live is your example to the world, right? So if Jupiter is this beneficial planet that influences us, and it's in the sign of Aries, the self, where do you want to take initiative in yourself? What kind of leader are you being, right, in your world? Jupiter is going to supersize the self. And so some people, this could be experienced as overinflated ego, right? If you're trying to prove yourself or tell people what you've done or, share in a way that's kind of more ego centered, that's going to come across as super annoying and obnoxious anytime. But I think we're going to see more of it with Jupiter and Aries. There's the Jupiter I talk about as the magnifying glass. So we're magnifying Aries, the I am, the self. So it's not bad to put yourself first, but it is good to kind of keep this running list going in your journal, this self-reflected inquiry. Where have I been selfish? Where have I been self-centered? Where have I been self-righteous? Where have I been self-loathing? Where have I been self-seeking? Where have I been too selfless? Where could I be more selfless, right? And so not to be self-absorbed all the time, but to do some of that inquiry would perhaps give you new awareness and insight. And that way, when you do see this in the world, this fireball and egomaniac personalities coming out, you'll be like, Jupiter and Aries makes sense. I see you. And then you don't have to be attached to the drama of the story. You can be the observer and you can start to activate the astrology in your favor, right? That's where it gets fun and exciting. Jupiter and Aries is not a negative thing. No, there's not like a negative or positive about it. It's just noticing what you're aware of and making some shifts in your experience, right? Okay, so halfway through the month here, this is where I'm like, okay, so we've got Mercury retrograde. Everybody's all indecisive and wishy-washy. There's a tendency that where things can get more confusing. I thought I wanted this. I want this instead. I'm saying this, but my body's doing this. My body's doing this, but I'm saying the other thing. Like all of this, my yes means no, my no means yes. And there's a lot of the back and forth can wear us out, right? So as you're dipping in and out and looking at things from different directions, just know that you're observing, you're taking data points. You don't have to really do much with it. You're just taking data points. So that way we won't be completely worn out by the time we get to the May 15th or 16th, depending on your time zone, lunar eclipse in 25 degrees of Scorpio. This lunar eclipse is going to square Saturn in Aquarius, right? The fixed signs, Scorpio and Aquarius. This is another clash of the Titans, you know. With Jupiter in Aries, I feel like it's a my way or the highway situation. It feels like a forced connection. It feels like a forced, um, that's why I'm like, just be careful with the ultimatums that you might want to offer. This is the energy of slammed doors and holy wars. Okay, slammed doors and holy wars. Where are you inspired to not slam doors, to not get on the behind the podium? What's the right word? You know what I'm saying, right? Like this is an intense eclipse. And so there's a lot going on in the skies that isn't just the eclipse. The eclipse has a tendency to feel like we're living 100 hours in a single day, right? It feels like a lot of energy coming in. But matters of the heart are also heavily involved with this eclipse, because what's going on in the background is Venus is kissing Chiron, conjunct Chiron. The sun is squaring Saturn. The sun is also sextiling Neptune the same day, right? So people feel virtuously right, right? They feel like right because of their faith or because of their religion or because of they feel really validated in how they believe. And I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm just saying that there's a lot of conflict in the skies around those hot topics. And, I don't know, we didn't really talk about politics and things that were divisive in my family growing up. And so when I see other people doing that at the dinner table, it just doesn't feel like attractive to me, right? Maybe you guys like that. Maybe some of you are like, oh yeah, let's spar. This is sparring energy. So if that is something that needs to be expressed in you in this life, this is a time when it's going to come out. Don't let it get you into too much trouble, right? I'll just say that. Don't let it get you, your opinion, your beliefs, don't let it get you into too much trouble. You can have it and not create discord because of it as an idea, right? You don't have to put yourself in a playground where they aren't playing nicely, right? So May 18th, Mars is going to conjunct Neptune in Pisces, and this is a tricky one. I gave you the bullet point of invasions, if you guys have been watching for a while, because why? Mars pierces, and Neptune is like very nebulous and soft, right? So it can feel very uncomfortable. I think we're going to see border issues in the news. I think we're going to see boundary issues in the news, and also at a personal level. If you're somebody with the human design gates that experiences a lot of invasions, like myself, right? This can be very disturbing. But what's interesting with Mars conjunct Neptune is there's the high and low of that combo is very exquisite, right? On one hand, Mars is like this energy driving force in Neptune. This is our spiritual leadership. This is when new gurus rise to power, new presidents, new leaders, new spiritual awakenings. Like we all get this sense of this cult following, right? Like Mars and Neptune, we all believe this is the way, but we might not really know. And we might get caught up or washed up into somebody else's belief systems because they're so convicted, right? So just being careful with that energy. This can be clarity, Mars, on a new voyage, Neptune, right? So I have Mars conjunct my Neptune in my first house. So in some ways, there's this spiritual leadership. I was on the water ski team in college, right? Mars wants to go do sports, earthy stuff like fire, like let's go, right? In Neptune, water. So water sports, I was a competitive equestrian athlete in 3-day event. We did a lot of cross-country jumping, things like this, dressage, stadium jumping. And so this idea that there's some form of competition that's spiritually fulfilling is Mars and Neptune. You know who else has Mars conjunct Neptune is Richard Branson, right? And so you can think about his life, maybe even read his book, see I was in the islands one time, and I got a call from his island manager to go do some vegan chef thing, and at the time it didn't work out. But he has this like island leadership vibe, right? He's different. He was born under a different star. That is Mars and Neptune. If you think about somebody kind of that we can all collectively look at as an archetype, think about Richard Branson, whether you like him or hate him, right? um, very piercing, right? Virgin Records, very sexy, different, interesting, right? So things to keep in mind, this in the sky, we're going to be able to see that here in Austin. We're going to be able to see Mars conjunct Neptune on the early morning hours of the 18th. So if you are up and Adam before the sun rises, take a look up and see if you can find those two luminaries and do a little meditation, ask for advice. Where do you need to be pulled forward? Mars, what's drawing you into your motivation and what's suppressing you? And just notice the difference, right? Okay, so on the 21st, the sun will enter Gemini. This means that it's going to be right next to Mercury in Gemini, retrograde Mercury in Gemini. And it will, because of that placement, the sun and Mercury will sextile Jupiter in Aries, right? So what does this mean? Bright ideas, ahas, good news, success. You could say that this is one of the good moments of the astrology for May to activate some of your business stuff, to send newsletters, to make memories, to do ads, to refine your image. Just remember that Mercury is retrograde. So it's not really launching stuff, but I feel like there's a lot of chatter, a lot of back and forth. Maybe you increase your frequency of the cadence of things you're doing in business. I wrote a whole article on down to business with Mercury in 2022 that might be really useful for you this time of month as the sun enters Gemini. Happy birthday to all the Geminis, right? And Taurus, right? Happy birthday to all the Geminis. We've got now, right as the sun is there, Mercury has been backing up into Gemini. I mean, it's in Gemini, it's backing up into Taurus, right? So on the 23rd, Mercury will retrograde into Taurus and we shift themes a little bit. So what do we need to revise and edit? Taurus stuff, our workout patterns, our diets, the way that we eat things. Do you understand what your digestion system is and what your cognition system needs? It's not a homogenized answer. It's not out there in the world of intermittent fasting and this plan and that plan and this plan. It's really just in your human design. What does your DNA need? So if you need a human design reading and you need to understand more about your digestion, I really encourage you to book a session through wiseguyscollective.com and ask for that piece of information, because without it, your body isn't nourished. If we don't nourish our bodies and our digestive system, Mercury retrograde in Taurus, it'll show up for us. Your body will start being like, hey, I'm actually allergic to this thing, or hey, I can't digest in this way, right? And so for me, understanding human design digestion was the game changer for me. And guys, please understand, I have a master's in health psychology. I understand health at a high level. And when things didn't stack up for me, human design did, because of the individual approach. So it doesn't matter where you get that tidbit, but I encourage you to experiment with it if it feels right for you. My digestion is hot thirst. So I digest better when things are above my body temperature. And, like this cold, hard veggies, even though I'm vegetarian, isn't the best for my system. So I need something that's more liquidy, right? So the hot teas, the hot coffees that are very don't feel like coffee or tea, that feel like creamy, and soy milk and honey and stuff that makes it feel really warm and rich and interesting. Your digestion system affects your cognition. So if you're not digesting, if you're not taking care of the body physically, the brain doesn't have the right fuel to do what it can possibly do. And so to me, I'm really passionate about this, right? I didn't intend to go off on a tangent in our astrology forecast, but there's room for improvement. Mercury retrograde in Taurus, right? Room for improvement with our physical bodies. And it's not just our diet and our weightlifting and our yoga and all the stuff that we like to do, right? It's also our sensuality, our being in this physical body. Don't let that get lost on you, right? Like we're just in this body for a short time, and then there's life everlasting. We're in the spirit realm. And so enjoying the pleasures of being in the physical body, reigniting some of that when Mercury's retrograde in Taurus. Go for a hike, look at the sunset, experience the world, right? Experience your body, try for the handstand, see it, just feel alive, feel into your body and be alive. Feel the air on your skin, feel the clothes on your skin, feel what the necklace feels like weighing on you, feel, just experience that sensual side of being in your body. Now, not only is Mercury backsliding into Taurus, we've also got Venus moving into Taurus on the 28th. And I think that's the last thing I'm going to talk about for the May forecast. Did I say April earlier? I apologize if I confused anyone. We're talking about May. Venus moves into Taurus. Because of that, she will square Pluto. So at the beginning of the month, May 1st, happy Beltane, Venus is sextiling Pluto. We got this money makeover. We got this noticing what's changed over time with love and money, their relationship thing, getting clues on the mystery here. And then by the end of the month, Venus is going to square Pluto. So that's when any systems that aren't really solid are going to break down. If you don't have things in place like checklists or your things that help your business flow or your household flow, this would be a good time to kind of reassess and be like, oh, okay, this is where I'm losing energy, where I'm losing traction, where things aren't like, it's just time to really tighten up, right? And so that's going to mean losing some people, relationships, business opportunities. It's going to mean some things are going to fall away. That can be uncomfortable. So Venus moving into Taurus feels good, but right at first she's squaring Pluto and it feels bad. So breakups, breakdowns, breakthroughs, breakups, breakdowns, breakthroughs. So those exciting love vibes that we were coming into the month with might change by the end of the month. That's why we want to say, give everybody a lot of space, a lot of room. Venus and Taurus is about the sense of security, stability, things being kind of routine, and an adherence to your core values, right? So if you don't know what your core values are, how do you know when you're off? And that might be a great exercise to end the end of the month with, doing that core value exercise. Do you need to update them? Do you need to rewrite your core values or your mission statement? Do you need to not lose sight of the things that are most important, right? One of the bigger themes of the month. How can we not lose sight of the things that are most important? All right. Okay, so I didn't forget. So let's pull a card. These are not traditional tarot cards. They are, it's the Mystic Art Medicine cards, created by Sherilyn from Sedona. And so it's a little bit more of a story here. I'm just going to pull one universal card. If you guys want to take a few deep breaths in through the nose, just cleansing breaths, pausing at the top, and floating everything down, just reconnecting to your sense of that universal connection that we all have to spirit. Just asking Spirit to give us a card of guidance for the month of May. Okay, we get the card of protection. Not hitting me in the way that I wanted it to, because protection is one of those words that we use in the spiritual community that kind of scares people. And you don't necessarily need to be protected in the way that that word is used. So let's take a look. This painting is Archangel's fire of transformation. So this is about the new age dawning, the fire of transformation. There's an eagle, there's a dove, there's lots of symbology here in it. There's like this cosmic stairway in the background. So just, knowing here that Archangel Michael is a protector. So if when you are afraid or in times of fear, right? First of all, watch the spleen human design support call in our membership to understand what you're really afraid of. But also know that there are angelic beings, ascended masters, elders, leaders, your own family, your own deceased loved ones that can come through for you in times of need. So the card says that Archangel Michael is a powerful protector, and when this card shows up, rest assured that his energy is surrounding you. Should you ask, Archangel Michael will protect and assist you with the transformation of negative agendas or forces otherwise not of your highest good by connecting you to higher spiritual truths. Choosing the protection card could be a sign to step back and take inventory of whom or what you may be letting into your personal space. Perhaps he is inspiring you to enlist him to cut some cords. Most likely, he's inspiring you to raise your consciousness and connect you more with your spiritual essence. By inviting him into your field with pure intention, he is with you. Set forth your intention for God's will and know you are absolutely protected on your mission to fulfill your highest potential. Don't think I'm not going to do another one. Discernment. Okay, good. So protection needed, discernment needed. These are things we need to ask for and be aware of in the month of May. So last card here, last little piece of advice. This is Old Robe Geronimo. So this painting of Geronimo at night here. All right, so it gives a little story of Geronimo. I'm not going to go through it, but the idea is that it ends with the elders' wisdom and discernment. So it says everyone has experienced feelings of failure when proper discernment wasn't considered or exercised. In reverence to everything having a purpose and a lesson, all is perfect in the mind of God. Yet, in consideration for an easier pathway, let's explore the mysteries of wisdom and discernment. This mindfulness is profound personal understanding and clear judgment. Until you sit like Geronimo in front of the smoke, flames, and fire, cook, set off fireworks, and get burned a few times, you don't have a clue what fire can do. You can't read it in a book and expect to actually know. It's not a study based on correct ideas or traditional values and rules. It's the perfection in your own acknowledgement of spirit and an exercise in experiential moments and perception. Your heart's natural wisdom is honored in discernment. Gosh, that's true, isn't it? Your true nature seeks out ethics in all matters of the heart, love, integrity, and inner beauty. These are honorable ideas born in your imagination, in your soul, as spirit manifests into the physical, infused into the very tapestry of your being. If you have chosen the medicine card discernment, it's time to stop and feel into your heart's innate, compassionate knowing. What experiences have been teaching you about clearer discernment? Consider wisely your power of choice. Okay, your power of choice is another great way to look at this Mercury retrograde cycle. You have the power of choice. You have the ability to discern, and you have the ability to pause and dip in and out and look at things at different angles this month and not to lose track on what's most important. Okay, hope this has been useful to you. It does look like some serious opportunities are coming our way here in May. And thank you for being here. If you're new to Wise Skies, I'd really appreciate it if you would subscribe, like the video, come visit us at wiseskiescollective.com. We offer one-on-one readings in evidential mediumship, Akashic records, tarot, astrology, and human design. We offer a monthly forecast, a lot of cool articles on the blog, which is under the tools tab. If you go to the tools tab, there's some new stuff, new goodies there for you. There's some freebies, some handouts, stuff like that. We also offer a monthly membership. Our members get access to a master teacher, a master class once a month. If you can't make it live, you have access to the replay. And we also do a human design support call on the first Thursdays. We're going through the centers right now. You have access to all of the past classes and everything, which is awesome because there's a lot of value with our master teachers. Our members also get a monthly Akashic record reading and a Astro Tarot reading that is broken down by the signs. So it gives you a little bit of cosmic edge for 22 bucks a month. We would love to have you. It's a really sweet community, and you can participate as much or as little as you want. You can log into your account anytime, and I periodically send out little email reminders like, hey, don't forget this class is live tonight or whatever, right? So we welcome you over to Wise Skies. Thanks for being here. I know there's a sea of astrologers you could be listening to. It makes me feel so good to be able to share this information with people that are interested um, in astrology, in the changing times, and interested in their own soul's evolution and growth as the skies change. So, however May shakes out for you, you know, just I hope to hear from you, and please let me know what resonated, what didn't, and we can learn together. So have a great month, guys, and namaste.